I am finally live. Sorry about that. There was a little bit of lag there. So, we're going to wait for a few more people to come in as we're looking at everything here. The way it always works is the notification goes out over like 5 minutes. So, what I usually do is give a little prelude of what I'm about to do. And then by the time we come back around, I'll get into what we're actually going to do. So, we're going to talk about three things primarily. So first of all, the name of my channel, which is a mouthful, Bonding with Board Games and RPGs, because RPGs have resurfaced. I didn't play them for decades, and then they popped back in, really because of my son, who said he leaned toward my board games that told more of a story. And he started to tell me, hey, I think I like more of the role playing stuff. What do you have on that side of things? But the other big part is the bonding portion. So, how do you bond with board games and RPGs? For me, it's both virtual and around the table, and it's family, son. My wife is not interested, just not her thing. Above and Below, matter of fact, she wants to play that today, has little story elements, but she likes the structure of game over story. Also with family, my brother, who I will talk to, he, to my knowledge, had never, ever played a role-playing game, 8 years younger than me. And he was over at my house for Thanksgiving with his family, had already told me he didn't plan on doing any board games. He didn't want to play games. I'm a big, organizer of gaming. So he was like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, fine, it's whatever you want to do. We won't do it. We can sit around and read, walk. He wanted to throw the football. Great. But he saw my Walking Dead book, The Walking Dead Universe, Free League, AMC, and said, oh, I like that show. That's a game. So well, it's a role-playing game. It's even another level of geekdom over board games, maybe. And he said, no, I like the idea of this story more than the game. And I was like, almost like the reverse of what my wife Liz wants to do. So we'll talk about me running him through The Walking Dead and how successful, that was. We may do a virtual game, or I may do a virtual game with him today. Not anything for the channel, just he and I and my son Bo. We'll talk about me being invited by a gal I know, Claire, one of my players, who invited me to come to her house and play with her group, where she GM'd a game of D&D, so I got to be a player, and my son and I, Bo, went over and did that. That was great. And then I've been somehow diving deeper, and not somehow, I've just been diving deeper into Judge Dredd. If you have not seen the more recent movie, not the one with Sylvester Stallone, although I'll probably go back and watch that again as well. But hold on, Kabuki's in. Kabuki Kid, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Good to see you. So we're going to talk about Judge Dredd, and if you haven't seen the new version with, I can't remember what its title is, but it's got the brand new rookie officer, the female gal who's got psi powers, and Mama is is dealing the drug of slow-mo. What do we got here? Dredd 3D is fantastic. Really? What was the newer movie? What was that? Carl Urban is Dredd. Yes. Yeah, that frown. He has that frown, and he never takes the helmet off, which is great. Lena Headey, yes, was great as Mama. Perfect. Big scar. Hey, Skull is in. Everybody's rolling in. I was just rolling through the what the topics will be for the show. Yeah, so we're on Judge Dredd, and I have the Judge Dredd. I picked up I want to say it came out like 2015, 2016 maybe. There was a role-playing game that came out with it, about it, using it. And so I picked that up. I kind of glanced through the books. I don't know if it'll ever make it onto the show. I've got so much on deck already. I'm not even stressed about it. It was just like, yeah, I need to know more Dredd. So let's first, now that we've gone through what the recap is, this is my copy. I went and picked up the sleeved 3-book set comes with the oh shoot, I don't play with the big blind in front of you. Screen. I don't play with screens. I don't like screens, just not my thing. For the board game, I feel like it divides me from the players when I have them in person. And I know it's supposed to. I do like all the charts. And from my board game love, I miss having like a one-page chart. I'm sure I could print it, but I don't want just calling it a screen again. I don't want it up there. Yes, it was outstanding. Very much so. DM screens aren't loved by all. Yes, I know. And I don't even, matter of fact, when Claire ran the game of D&D I was in, she used a screen. She did a lot of rolls in front of us, but she did some behind, and it worked great. She also ran themed music in the background. Not anything I would ever do, but it was spooky and scary, and it was a Halloween kind of theme deal, so it was perfect. And I found out my box set has this chrome look to it too. But we'll talk first about this. So I was going to play. There were 6 people playing. She was GMing, and Bo was coming as an int or a treant. So for D&D, and that's not a typical character you can play. But she said, "Sure. Here's how I'll have you morph that around so you're not overpowered." He also let her know he was a pacifist, so he wasn't going to be using any of his strength to like bash and destroy everything. He was more of like this real empathetic cleric healer treant. Very interesting. His name was Thistlebirch. It was great. My son Bo has these coolest things that he does. I, on the other hand, wanted to play. She told me play a barbarian. They're very simple. I knew there was a lot to D&D. I hadn't played it since I was probably 12, and I didn't know anything about 5e. And so she said, if you want to go simple, just pick up a barbarian and it'll fit in with the group that I already have. And I was like, okay, let me see what else has come in. If you don't like them, you can use printouts or whatever charts. Yeah, that's what I do. That's exactly what I do. Ints were in the original D&D books in 74. That is one of the things they had to change because the Tolkien estate came after them. Really? I didn't know all that. Renamed them to treants, yes. Same with the hobbits to halflings. Perfect. Thank you. You were awesome, Kabuki. So my son's playing a treant cleric. I am playing a female desert barbarian named Narjwa. I don't know if the J is pronounced or not. Narwa is what she started to be called, or some were calling her just Narj. Well, it's Carl Urban lobbied hard for a Dredd sequel. Couldn't get any traction. I love him for his efforts. Yeah, and I keep running into different things that talk about in retrospect how very good that show was, and maybe it'll get some love. I think it's starting to hold its own. I went back and purchased it and rewatched it and loved it. So one of the reasons there was 2 things I loved about being a player. One, I wanted to step out of the GMing, DMing, refereeing side of it and really just focus on that player mode. I hadn't done that again since I was, Twilight 2000 original back in 14, 15 years of age. Otherwise, I'd been running them. Either solo or even with the group here in the house. So I thought I need to work on my perspective as a player. And playing a barbarian female desert warrior was perfect, and this group was good. So I'm going to tell you about this group real quick, and then we'll move on to the next item, and then I'll look at what Kabuki, I haven't seen what she put in here yet. So it's real cool. Anytime you're meeting a new group, I'm always wondering, and I was a little bit nervous, like how barbarian-ish can I play this Narjwa? And I thought she's going to be a rough around the edges, always looking for a fight. So okay, that's fine. I can do that. And the folks started showing up, and it worked so well. So I won't go into plot; it's real hard to. But the gist is, she was always looking at everything with aggression. So at one point, we're trying to flag down this horse and wagon that went by. They didn't stop. Why would they? We look scary. But as they get further and further out of range, and one of the guys is trying something, I think a spell or something, I don't know. I ready a javelin, which I had 4 of. And I think it was at like 90 or 100 feet away, very far away. So I'm thinking I'm not going to hit it, but it's going to be this barbarian-esque thing. So I roll a perfect 20. I hit him. And the group's a little bit stunned, but they know the crit was the key there. But her attitude, and right off the bat, I thought, oh boy, I hope I haven't offended anybody at the table with her aggressiveness. A halfling goes up, and I think he's a cleric or healer, and he heals and heals the person so they don't die. And then what was really fun later, we're meeting another townsperson, and I had no intention to throw the javelin, but again, she's very combative. So she readies a javelin. And we're playing this Halloween themed. You don't know what's going to happen. So I thought, who knows? Something could spring on us. I'm going to be ready. But there was another guy that was this bard, and he's huge. He's a big guy in person, but he was also a big guy in our party. And he's like 8 feet tall. And he comes over and just bear hugs Narjwa and picks her up, not in a violent sense, but in a protective hug, like you would do maybe someone who's having a seizure and you don't want them to hurt themselves or anyone else. And I thought, oh, that's good. And he just did that on his own, and he'd been really quiet, but it was right in line with character. Now this comes in later. I'm going to skip all the way ahead. We were fighting these, I want to say witches, but there was something even worse. There were these 3 nasty witch ladies. And a part of D&D I liked was I was able to get a rage on, and then I was able to trigger in, I'm going to have to remember, fury, I think. So I was getting all these extra turns when it came my time to do combat. And I was getting little bonuses as well, as long as I did hits or took damage. And I'm going crazy. Well, suddenly and I'm doing damage, and I'm taking very little because of my rage. But the group, one of the individuals in the group, I think a ranger, starts to try to work a deal with these witches. He realized how much danger we're in. There were 3 of them. And that we probably, well, I think almost guaranteed we wouldn't be able to beat him in a straight up fight. But I'm in a full rage. So it's decided that I need to calm down. And I kept telling them, someone's going to have, she can't. She's in a rage and a fury. Barbarian swinging her axe, just going crazy and landing. But somebody's going to have to help me. I didn't know what that would be. Well, the big guy, he uses his turn to come over and pick her up and hold her away while the parlay is accomplished, and I'm swinging, not trying to hurt him, but I'm still trying to get at him. And it just, I definitely said, hey, maybe not a bad time. I said, it's before everybody started their turn. I was real late in the rotation. I said, somebody's got to do something because she can't stop. There's no way she's going to be able to parlay when she's in this fury rage. That being said, the D&D worked perfect. We jumped in with the group, and it went flawless. I told Claire she ran a heck of a game, and I said, Bo and I want to come back whenever you do this again. I love the dynamics of the group, and I feel like we could go on campaign because she's going to be a crazy wild woman, like a Wolverine or something, and the big guy is about the only one that knows how to kind of, well, he doesn't calm her down. He just picks her up off the ground. Let me see what else is in here on comments, then we'll come to the next part. It was so much fun, and it was really fun getting to be a player. Where are we at? Sorry, I missed several. I think we're up here. If you don't like them, okay, that's on the screens. Ints were in the original D&D. Got it. Yeah, you were right on with that. And so Bo played a treant, Thistle Birch. Carl Urban lobbied. Yep, we had that. Sorry. Agreed, Dick. I wish it happened. Yeah, this was the sequel. There was even talk about a possible TV series. I'll take anything. Yeah, as long as they do it right. That's become my thing. I used to, well, let's just say I got saddened about Star Wars. We'll leave it at that. I bought Dredd on Blu-ray, worth supporting that movie. Yep. I went and picked up some hardbound comics that came out with the same, like they have the prequel to Mama, and a story called Underbelly, and I forget what the next part is. I haven't actually read it yet. Love the Barbarian, the latest D&D movie. Haven't seen it. I do need to watch that. I definitely wish so. So I haven't seen it, but the clips kind of turned me off. And I know it did okay in the theaters, but apparently not well enough for them to be thrilled about it. I don't know if it broke even or not. I wish they would have stepped away from all that. It felt like it was just a superhero movie with all the quick barbs back and forth. And just from what I heard, both on the interwebs and I think somebody that saw it, I wish they would have emphasized like how a party of people come together. Look at One Piece. One Piece, the live action of the anime. The way they blended these individuals and how they brought them together in a cohesive team. Man, I wish they would have done that because you then knew who everybody was, you were invested in them, and now you're with the party and off you go. One Piece is actually, if you haven't seen it, that is the way to do it. Um, whether well, I think most people liked it. It's got some interesting stuff. You definitely has the feel that it's not an American written show. Obviously, it's from Japan, and you feel those influences, which is a whole nother thing, kind of a fresh take. But the story development was perfect. Skull, look up Dirty Laundry, Thomas Jane's personally funded short film idea for a Punisher. I love Punisher. 15 minutes of awesome. Hold on. I'm taking a screenshot of that, baby. Boom. Nothing like a screenshot in your own screen. All right. Maybe you always screen shoot your own screen. Yeah, probably. Whoop, missed it. Similar to the Dredd themes. Yeah, I love the Punisher and the original Daredevil. Gosh, that was some great stuff. Stomp. Not a fan of Hasbro WotC, but I love Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, yeah, I'm getting a feeling, and I'm a nobody, but I'm getting a feeling that people, like as a people, folks are going to start kind of, I think we're gravitating away from these large corporation packaged, let's call them Happy Meals, just to get in trouble with McDonald's. It's like they package you a Happy Meal and then say, enjoy that. It's got a lot of cool stuff on it, and it's a package. Look at the toys inside. And I think I've outgrown Happy Meals. I don't even want the Whopper. I want somebody to cook me a sandwich that I didn't even know was going to be as good as it was. I don't want it to be predictable. So I think we're going to move away from corporatization. I actually think even with what I do with the show or what I do on the Scotch Test Dummy show, I love if I'm right, I think we've got a ways to go, meaning as a people, but I think the individual creators and that ability to reach directly out or to be authentic is going to gain more traction, I think. Cancel culture is pushing against it, but I think that is going to win. We will see. D&D movies, similar to Marvel movies, did not achieve its potential, but it was good. Yeah, I'll end up watching it. But yeah, I wished it had done something more like letting you know the individual characters. I mean, obviously One Piece did it in 8 hours, so the movie's not going to be able to quite do that. 8 episodes, hour long. Magnus von Magnuson. I know it's just Magnus K. Howdy, sir. Howdy. I had a friend of mine, actually a coworker, and he loves Christmas lights and has won competitions for decorating his house. And I said, you should do a YouTube channel. So he started a channel called Christmas on Crestline. Very popular. He's done very good. And then he and his wife loved watching my Scotch show. They started a whiskey channel, multicasting, yes. And they were going up to Finland. I know you're in Sweden, Magnus, but they went up to Finland. So they're in that northern, I think they're there now. And it was funny because they reached out to a very far north distillery, and I cannot remember the name. And he got nervous because when talking to the distillery, he didn't realize some of these operations are very small. They're almost mom and pop-ish. Well, the distillery owner said, if you take the train this far north, again, sorry, I wish I could give you the names. I think he's going to bring me back a sample, so maybe I'll follow up. We will pick you up from the train station. You can stay in a house that's on our property. Well, my buddy got nervous and said, is this normal? I said, I don't know if I would say it's normal, but whiskey distillery owners, especially when you have a show, it's a very small show that he has, a little bit smaller than mine, but they're friendly in general. And I told him, I bet you being up in Finland, they even got a sauna. And they did. So he went up there, stayed in their house. They had a sauna. They went out and played in the snow after being in the sauna, and they got a real nice tour of this distillery. Sorry, that's a side trail. I'll follow up on that when he gets back. I'm sure he'll bring me a sample. So, but I just found that was funny. The whiskey folks are friendly folks, kind of like role-playing folks, really. Our gaming folks are generally very friendly as well. And I think it's because both are better done with friends or even help you in meeting people. And the idea of drinking alone, although I do play a lot of solo games, so I guess I do play alone, but I like to play with groups too. I also like to sip alone. So yeah, when I drink, I'm not sad drinking, I'm happy drinking. Dick, I agree. I'm always laughing when I'm playing D&D with friends, so the humorous angle worked for me too. Yes. Oh man, I loved being a player. It was so nice just concentrating on her. At one point, the big guy that was always picking me up had jumped in the water because he saw something sparkling. And I threw out, this was early on, I threw out, hey, as long as you're in there, let me get my soap. And they were looking at me like, what's he saying? Because they don't know me. I'm like, and I'm in character playing this female barbarian. I'm like, I'll throw you some soap so you don't stink so bad. And meanwhile, she's also she's using a sharpening stone on her axe. And they're all kind of looking at me like, is he in character? Well, of course, I'm a barbarian. Yeah, anytime there was downtime, I was either readying a javelin or sharpening my axe. So it was great fun. I just need to meet with that group more often. What the halfling even created a limerick and then used it in, he had some power or something where he could motivate you with his rhymes or something. It was really cool, and it ended up giving me a re-roll or something. It was an inspiration point I got. I was like, well, this is awesome. So D&D did some cool stuff that I didn't know was there, as most of you already know. Let's see. You now need to find whiskey drinking gamers. Oh, I got a bunch of those already. So, matter of fact, Claire and her husband Justin, when they come over, they're board gamers and role players. They'll come over here and they will sample whiskey all the time. So, as a matter of fact, it was funny. The last time she came over, I said, hey, I'm pouring some. Do you want to try this Japanese whiskey? She'd say, I'd love to, but I'm with child. And I was like, oh, yay. And then everybody was like, awesome. So obviously she could not or did not. So, and then she said, but Justin can. She's a music teacher, so she's awesome. I want a D&D movie where the protagonists are actually worried about surviving. Yeah, that would be good too. I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. I keep hoping that tech will get so good that it'll bring some of the costs down. And if you can do something without it costing $300 million, you can start to take some risks. Look what Star Wars was able to do, although I know they had some budget and some things, but they were able to create something that blew sci-fi out of the water in terms of how it looked, and just made it real all at the same time. So I think that's always cyclical, but we'll see. Gritty. So let me go on. We've covered D&D and me being the female barbarian and how fun that was playing with another group. We will talk about what was on the cover, the Walking Dead universe from Free League and AMC in Sweden. I love their little boxed version, so there's maps in here. I sprung for the deluxe version, and I got Don't Open Dead Inside. I did a little unboxing on this channel. They'd originally sent me, not them, but their distribution center in the States, sent me the wrong book. They sent me the standard book. And when I contacted them, I said, hey, if you just send me a package with a self-addressed, I'll send the other one back. They sent this and they said, keep the original. And I gave it to Bruno, who's my co-host on Scotch Test Dummies. And he's on vacation, but he is going to play, and we're going to film it. He's going to play through, he loves zombies. And so he's going to play through a campaign with me in Atlanta. And if you see this building, right, I can't point at it. The building that looks that. That's the Truest building or something like that. We are going to make that penthouse level, the top, our home. More on that later. But we're going to play this. But what I wanted to get into most on this was, I'm very glad they sent me the standard book because it had this horrible zombie head on it and everything, and it didn't have this red hand. And my brother saw it. Now, when my brother and his family came over, he'd said, hey, I don't really want you coordinating a bunch of game stuff. And I'm like, sure, it's whatever you want, man. We don't need to do that. And because my mom kept telling him, oh, if you stay at Bart's house, he's going to have you in games all the time. She made it sound negative. I think I know she wanted them to stay at her house. So I said, hey, deal, fine, no games. Well, he saw this on my reading stand. He goes, what's that? I said, oh, it's a role-playing book. I'm reading it. Bruno and I are going to do some stuff that just came in. He goes, oh, and with that name, I thought maybe it was some book on The Walking Dead. I go, oh, it is. That's The Walking Dead universe from AMC as a role-playing game. And he said, I might want to play that. And he'll play some board games, but it's not really his thing. He was way more athletic than me. And I don't think he'd ever played a role-playing game. So I said, I'm not sure you're going to want to play this. It's more story with structure. And he goes, that's exactly what I like. He said, what I don't like with board games is it's too much mechanism, not enough story. I said, wow, well, yeah, role-playing is exactly what you might be looking for. So I had to brush up on it because I hadn't finished reading it yet. And then I ran him through a session and my son. And he liked it so much. He said, I think we might be able to play this virtually over FaceTime or something. And I'm like, yeah, we can try that. And later today, I think we're going to do that. I'll have to see. My son couldn't play. He was going to a school play with some friends. But we're going to try some virtual play with my brother. I don't think I could do a StreamYard with him. And if it goes well, we might. He's got a character who's a preacher, who's an alcoholic, and named Lazarus, and carries an entrenching tool and suffers from a drinking problem. That is his main problem there. But he's a leader. They have a bunch of leader things where he can spend his actions to lead and then help other people. You got to have anchors here that help you. So my son's playing Bob, a big biker dude. And I'm a kid. What was funny was the biker, as he just rolled up randomly on this chart under his archetype, they call it something else. He was a biker with a motorcycle. Well, we ended up with scooters, both of us. So you've got this hardcore biker dude with a preacher on, I think he's got a little blue scooter with sunflowers, and I ended up with a pink scooter. So all these humorous elements, I won't go into all the things we ran into, but where were we here? Yeah, Star Wars had a budget of 11 million, which wasn't big even in 77. Yeah, and look what they did. So the story must be king. And that's why I say One Piece. What One Piece did, I don't think the target audience for One Piece, but I had a couple friends say, hey, their character development is great. Well, I love character development. And they said it's a little weird with the fruit. I forget what the fruit's called, but it gives you like different powers that are bizarre. And I loved it. Go check out One Piece if you haven't. The character development is great. Free League, say no more. Yeah, Free League is killing it. I love Free League. You call me a Free League fanboy, I'd say you ain't lying. I love it. EMC Dummies do a tabletop campaign. Hells yes. You got it. Look at that. EMC. Yeah, the dummies, that's my Scott show. We're going to be, I got a photo around here somewhere. Where is it? We are going to be, where is it? I had a here. I'll have to pull one of these old photos. Oh, this is when we did American Gothic. See if I can get the glare off of that. So of course we're in Kansas, so we had to do this thing where I'm the farmer with the pitchfork and Scott's playing my Kansas wife. Patreon supporters get Christmas cards from us. Oh, Magnus, we actually had a guy that was where was he at? He might have been in Belgium. And he got our Christmas card in the mail and he put it up on his fridge. And his wife came home and said, well, who or what in the hell is this? And he said, those are the dummies. And I think in that one, I'm pushing him on a swing. And she goes, yeah, they look dumb. I guess I mean overstated. Sorry, let me back up. George Romero's contribution to the genre of fiction can never be understated. Yeah, or overstated. You're right. You're 100% right. Speaking of Romero, I was just rewatching Creepshow a couple nights ago. Nice. My favorite anthology movie. Very cool. Kabuki Kid, Bill the Whiskey Dick, does a Dungeons and Drams. Really? I didn't know Whiskey Dick was into Dungeons and Dragons. Huh. On YouTube, FYI, all players are whiskey tubers you might check out. Huh. I didn't know that at all. Yeah, that's Whiskey Dictionary. I did not know that. I will have to check that out. That's cool. What's the matter, M.R. Pratt? Bugs got your tongue. Missed it. Oh, Mr. Pratt. Got it. I think. Not sure. American Gothic. Okay, got it. Thanks, EMC. Yes. Thank you. That was interesting. I didn't know that. All right. The next and final, so just to circle back, so my brother, who I don't think had ever played a role-playing game, and then we sat down and played and it went really well. I mean, he was like, man, I could visualize what we were doing. And he even started telling me, hey, when that thing with those guys that were at the hospital and they were on the loudspeaker and they were kind of up on a hill, did you picture the road there like this? I think I said, no, not quite like that. But he goes, man, I could see it. And I'm like, well, that's the beauty. Now, we're all kind of in the same realm. Just the gist was there was a hospital with their loudspeaker and they were calling out that they would help people or something. But they had these big 12-inch fences with the razor wire on it. They had like 300 walkers up against their fence. And this hospital was their haven. And the kid or somebody, I can't remember. I think the preacher wanted to go see if maybe they would help us or could that be our haven. And Bob, the biker guy, was like, nope. And the kid said, well, let's just watch for a while. Long story short, a group or a family showed up and we ended up seeing them get attacked by this group and all their stuff was stolen and their bodies tossed to the walkers. Brutal. I was like, oh. And the kid wanted to just bug out. And I think Bob, the biker, did too. And the preacher's like, we can't let them stand like that. Long story short, without telling everything, we set up a car with a booby trap that we put a rock on and it had some Molotovs in it. And it busted through the fence and it let the walkers into their haven. But it turned out on a random die roll, they had like 20 people in there, all well armed, and they just took out all those walkers and we hightailed it. So there is an enemy faction that seems rather predatory that we're going to stay away from. But yeah, when that was done, I thought we would just flee it. And then my brother was like, I don't feel right doing that. As a preacher, I think he even said, as a man of the cloth, we can't let that stand. And I was like, huh. I think he even used some of his leadership ability to convince us to try to stop him. Yes, Creepshow reference. I haven't seen that in years, totally missed it, and I'm terrible at that. Scott, my co-host on the Dummies, quotes stuff all the time, and I'll be like, what's that? And he'd be like, this movie? I'm like, yeah, I don't remember. Mr. Pratt thing. I'm going to have to see it now. I'm going to have to see it. So, The Walking Dead is going great, and Bruno Scott hasn't even started playing yet. I gave him the other book. He took it to Tampa with him, and he's going to get back. And in December, we should have a show out where he's playing. I'm in a community connection fan. I'm a community connection fan. It's what I'm on YouTube for. Oh, I love it. Yeah, YouTube's great. So, the very last thing is, as I was getting into Judge Dredd, I was looking for, surely there'd been some role-playing games. There were some old ones, but the newest one, I want to say this came out in 2016, tabletop adventure game. So, what is the date? This is always boring, and I don't see it. 2018, there it is. So it's got, of course, that iconic, I love the art. It opens up with a little description kind of what you're doing in, if I can get to it, in that comic book fashion. And then, of course, even as you get into the game, you still got a little bit of that going on. So I don't know if I'll ever get to actual play with this. I did pick up some of the other little supplements and storylines that went with it. I would love to. But I've been filling up my gaming palette. And I don't think, well, I know I wouldn't get to the point where I would burn out. It's just what can cycle in. So, because I really want to play Forbidden Lands too. But what do we have here? And what am I at? 36 minutes. We'll wrap this up pretty soon. Role-playing games allow us to play the better angels of our nature. Yes, and sometimes the evil angels too. In life, I'm running away most of the time, fight or flight. Yeah, that's what we're going to have to do in The Walking Dead too. I had to let my brother know, hey, much like the show, your character can die, and quickly. And he was like, okay. I'm like, so get attached to him. But as you make decisions, know they will have consequences. And he was like, I love this. I'm like, there you go. There you go. So let me check my notes, make sure I've hit everything here. Yes, we have, again, my D&D experience as a player, which was awesome. We're supposed to sit down at the table again in January. My brother visiting and him trying The Walking Dead and him bringing up and then even reaching out to me today. Hey, can we play virtually? Yes. I do have a virtual tabletop. It's not Roll20, it's the other one. And it was a learning curve that I didn't have. And so I parked it. But I could see playing with him over that as the interface as well. But in the meantime, FaceTime is fine. Let's see, Judge Dredd and how I've gotten hooked into that, the movie. Yep. I think I've hit it all. And it's nice to have everybody in here. So I wanted to come in and just do a vlog. I hadn't done a vlog in a while. I'm still loving the Maze Rats live. I'm going to do an episode of that tomorrow morning. What's so fun with that is I purposely don't do a lot of prep. I've got a sneeze coming. I've got to fight it. Maze Rats is designed that you don't have to do a lot of prep. In between, I may have to come up with some tables, some random generated tables or something, but I'll usually do that on the show. So that live session's been awesome, and to show how I do it. And then, Dick Skull has joined in through that. That's why I'm getting the woot. And Never Fear 1911 has joined in through that. So the idea of that community that's virtual even coming together around that. And the way that world is developed, I'll catch myself thinking about it now and then and thinking, Windridge, when are we going to get back there? Well, we got to recover this relic. And this relic needs to go back to the Brothers of St. Fiona. And then I'm like dropped into that world and I'm thinking, this is such a rich, vast world. And it was created out of the ether. And it feels like a movie that's out there. So that's what role-playing really helps my vivid imagination do. pinch that bridge of your nose to stifle a sneeze. See, I always try to tickle the top of the roof of my mouth with my tongue. That seems to work for me. I don't know about the pinch. We'll see. Maybe that does it too. I managed to stifle it. The eyes teared up a bit, but it was successfully stopped. Got my Back to the Future shirt on. I love that. All right. We'll start to wrap here. The Finnish liquor, is it from Oi Distillery? Distiller. I don't know. He told me, and I can't remember. And when he gets back, I will update because I'm sure he'll have tons of pictures. I think it ended up being one of their highlights. And I told him, again, from my perspective, like when we actually Scott and I got flown out to Ireland. When we went and met a farmer who was making some of the grain for this special whiskey, that was the highlight of the trip, because if I was just a quote unquote tourist, this farmer wouldn't have had me on his farm. But because of his connection to the distillery and his connection to his own grain. So a real neat part of that was, he said, I've been making barley for, years. And it was just a commodity that I made money based on the price per ton at any given time. And he said, when I got into this program and they gave me my first unbarreled, it was just distilled clear whiskey, and it was his grain, and he tasted it, he just felt connected to his land. And but we got to hang out in his house and do some little homemade blending, and it was just so much fun to get to know Seamus Duggan was his name. Seamus Duggan. It was so much fun. And I'm like, this is beautiful. And I think that's what my friend Christmas on Crestline found when he got up to that distillery. But he's not back yet, so I'll find out when he gets back in the country. I'm in through the randomness of the universe, and I'm loving it. Yes, that is so cool. How did that even show up? How did the maze rats show up on your YouTube? I mean, what drew you to click on it? Because let's be honest, I'm not good with my thumbnails or my titles. I mean, I'm okay, but I'm not, I could go work a part-time job in law enforcement and make 60, 70 bucks an hour. And in this channel, not counting Patreon helps out a lot, but this channel will make me about 25 bucks a month. So the nice thing about that is I'm not doing it for the cash flow. I'm doing it for the fun and the connections of what we're doing right here, which is nice, which is a very good thing. It's fun too. I mean, that's what I'm getting out of it. But I've been to Ireland, happy to have put my feet on the motherland. Very nice. I need to get to Germany. There's still some Brunschines, it's my last name, that live in Berlin. And my great-grandfather did not want to fight for the Kaiser. So when he was 16, he jumped a ship. I think he paid passage, and he ended up on Ellis Island for 3 months until a German farmer sponsored him, and he had to catch a train and work for that German farmer for 2 years, which is room and board. But he did such a good job, that farmer helped him buy his first farm. And then he did so well, he brought over his parents and all his siblings. I apparently have some Irish blood in me too. I'm a total mutt, got a lot of different bloods in me. Very good. That means you'll have a long life. My wife's Puerto Rican, and they live forever. Her grandma's 103, still alive. Hamtag War Game Reviews put you on my radar. Got it. Okay, love it. Hamtag's my most popular thing I've ever done. It's very fun. And I've already told Greg and Judd, anytime they want to get the band back together, we'll film a Hamtag. So very cool that Hamtag was the path. Polish also here. Very cool. I found the chief from when he was on the Dice Tower. That was my introduction. Going way back. Yeah. Tom Vassell was so awesome. I had to email them just because of what he was doing when he was in Korea, going to Camp can't remember if it was Camp Walker, but I had been in Korea just for a couple weeks. And he was going to the army base and playing games with troops. And that spoke to me. And then I realized there was a high school, and cops have a real hard time connecting with high school students. It's just a hard age group. Usually they're meeting cops with a speeding ticket or a minor in possession of alcohol or marijuana or something like that. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I could get the games into the school, kind of like Tom got them onto the base, and I could interact with these kids in a positive environment. And I went to the school and they said, oh, we've got a program called, shoot, what is it called? I can't remember. AVID, Advancement via Individual Determination. It was an AVID group. And they said every other Friday we have like a fun time. And that would be a great time. We love that they would be interacting with police. So I got a group of uniformed officers and we'd go in and play with these kids. And I ended up meeting Dexter, and I just emailed Tom and said, hey, you motivated me to do this. And he said, can you put that on a digital tape and email it to me? I want to put it on the show. And I was like, come on, you don't want that. And he goes, yes, I do, or I wouldn't have asked for it. And I did it. And that's what started me into the Dice Tower. And hence, I'm doing this. I never thought I'd be doing this. We're all mutts in the U.S., yes. 103. Wowzers. I'm forgetting what's 103. What did I say? Maybe it was somebody else. Catch me back up. I don't have Irish or, oh, her grandma's 103. But see, I don't have Irish or Puerto Rican blood, but Japanese. Nice. Very nice. Let's see. Dick, often laugh out loud. I have some Native American in me, 1/8. I think that maybe qualifies me to live on a reservation and all that. I could be wrong, regardless, not my upbringing. All right. So I wasn't raised with that culture. Understood. My old man was in Korea during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Tense time, I bet. I was at Daegu, and they don't call it Daegu on the map anymore. It really threw me off when I was looking around. Wife's grandmother, age 103. Yeah, I made my wife sad because she was like, why are you investing? I'm about ready to retire from the police. There'll be a pension, but I've been investing for years. And when my son, my youngest son, who's now 14, has Down syndrome, was born, I kind of went into overdrive a little bit with, I got into some rentals and some different stuff because I had seen an older Down syndrome man as a police officer who didn't have anybody looking out for him, and he was being stolen from by his home healthcare nurse. We won't go into all that, but I was like, I've got to set up a fund so that when I'm gone or wife's gone, hopefully she'll live to be 103, that he's got a trust that will take care of him, and he won't be in as dire straits, because you got to extend past your life if you're going to take care of your kids that have special needs. And that got me fired up. So I'd started a little side company and got into some property, but neither here nor there. My potential grandmother became 109 years old. Wow, that is awesome. Well, I made my wife sad because I said, well, Dad died at 67, Grandpa at 77, and my great-grandpa at 59. Baby, you're going to outlive me. Because she was like, why are you doing all this investing? And I had to let her know, hey, a lot of it's to make sure the son's taken care of, but also you, because I do not think I will live that long. And she was like, what? Well, you need to exercise more and keep your heart healthy. I'm like, yes, I need to do all of that. Even with the cop job, I thought, okay, I may go down on a line of duty or something. Anything's possible. Or when I joined the Army, I was a medic in a light infantry unit. That could have gone bad too. So I'm lucky to be this far. But I made my wife sad. So, because I said, these investments are not for me, baby. They are not for me. All right, we can probably end on that. We're coming up on 50 minutes. Loving The Walking Dead. Don't open, Dead Inside. Brutal, harsh game. I will be filming this with Bruno. January, I will be back playing my desert, really tough barbarian gal named Narwa or Narjwa, and she's a handful. And at some point in time, I love Judge Dredd and the mega city with 800 million people in it. And I think I could help them control that a little bit. I could be my own judge. So let's see what else we got here. Let's come back up here. You're doing good, Chief. Yep. So far, so good. I'm just having fun and living the life. Take care of the family so that if something bad does happen, take care of your community is where you find it. Yep. Take care of your community. Exactly. Impressive age. She lived through the 20th century. That is awesome. The changes she saw, amazing. Nice title. That's from the first episode of The Walking Dead. Oh, I didn't know. Let's see. Probably the first comic. Okay. Nice to hang with you all. Always a pleasure. Thanks everybody for coming in. Mega City 1. Bingo. Thank you. See, you need to be here all the time, Kabuki. I don't know what I'm saying half the time. What did I call it? Million City 1 or something? I don't know. Mega City 1. Family is all. Yes, I got to be better on that. I got to be better on it. 20th century was probably the most consequential century. Yes, I think you're right. Well, yeah, we'll see. I like born in 1970. Scott, co-host on the Dummies, was saying, "Do you realize how different we are? We grew up with no phones, no computer games. You know, it was go out and play. I remember mom kicking the kids out all the time. Get out of here, go play, be back by dark." Had a general idea where we were at, but didn't have a clue what we were doing, which is one reason I think I love role playing so much. It's just freedom. But yeah, I am the law. You said mega city. That was fine. I was just giving the full name. Perfect. See, you never know. I could have said like multi-city man. 1969. Very good. All right. I will wind this up at 52 minutes just in case somebody later decides to watch. Sometimes they do. The vlogs can be interesting to some. See you guys later. Thanks everybody that's tuning in now and chatting and everybody that's going to communicate and watch in the future. Please do leave the comments. Enjoy it. Love it. Great time. There's a new comment. What came in? I went all the way to the top. We lived through a very big change in history, computers, and the internet. The internet is one of those huge timeline landmarks, very much so. Cell phones as well. We're the last generation to experience reality unfiltered. Very, very true. Very true. And thank you, Kabuki. Ciao all. Yep, very true. And woot. And I'm going to end the stream now. Winding down. See you.